Welcome to the update on the Orc Stronghold scenery project. What we're looking at here is the main gate. We got one of the Ruglud's armored orcs for scale here. Front of the gate and back of the gate. Still in progress here. So that's the main gate for the stronghold. What can be attached to that are these additional gates here. So let's take a look at a few of those. There are 5 of them in total. And at this stage, we have roughed in the palisade, spikes, and the rocks. So the idea is that the orcs are using the natural rock features. There will be walkways that are going to be added to that so the orcs can patrol the walls. Here's another one. So number 3. And here is number 4. And here's number 5. So what we have here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sections of interior walls. These are the inner walls of the camp, and they separate some of the different factions' territories within the stronghold. So as we can imagine, the orcs and goblins are constantly vying for dominance. And so these are kind of like their individual camp perimeters within the stronghold itself. Some stonework with some smaller palisades. Some of them have built-in gates. The idea is they can just be lined up in any sort of configuration that you need. These are also useful, obviously, during battles where they're being raided or invaded by rival orc armies, or even the occasional hungry wyvern or giant. Alright, so here we're taking a look at the goblin burrows. There's going to be 4 of them altogether. These are the bases that have been made for the other 3. The idea for a goblin burrow is that what we see at the top is really just more like the entrance. Most of the burrow would probably be under the ground. So there are some areas within the burrow where we're going to be able to see some details and some features. There'll be probably some kind of skins or fabric hanging back here. You can see at the top there's been a little platform created. There's another little tent. It's just a larger version of the goblin huts. The goblin huts might house, maybe 1 or 2 goblins, whereas the burrows, a whole little group, maybe up to a dozen goblins, depending upon the size. Speaking of goblin huts, these are the little goblin huts. Still in progress, of course. These might house maybe 2 or 3 goblins at the most. Just small huts of various designs. Goblins have cobbled together using scraps of wood and animal skins and whatever they've managed to loot and steal or make. Alright, so this is the orc fighting pit. The fighting pit's going to have 3 entrances. The one over here is going to be monster-sized. And you've got 2 entrances at the sides. One is over here as well. Along the outside, at least around half of it here, there's going to be platforms, and that's where the war boss and his retinue, or whoever happens to be looking on, they'll be able to spectate and place bets and cheer and roar and make a bunch of noise. You can see that the ground of the fighting pit has been textured using a rolling pin from Green Stuff World to create a cracked desert look. And some of the palisades are still waiting to be filled in here. Next up, we've got the Orc Drinking Hall. So this is with the fire pit. We have a stairway that will go up to some some walkways, some gangways, or second tier, like a deck. Once the deck's put in, you'll have a little bit of detail to be able to look underneath the deck and see some creatures or some goblins or something like that that are hanging out down there. Interior of the drinking hall has some areas for maybe a few tables. Outer perimeter. It's kind of earth and clay. It's going to have some skins also hanging from it. And it will have a removable top added to it. Outside of the drinking hall, there will be, some additional little accoutrements and obstacles or whatever. Some tables and things like that where the orcs are hanging out. So it's mostly like this is the open air part, and this is where the roof will be placed. Next up, we've got the Goblin Shaman's hut. So this is a 2-tier hut. It's almost like his little garage downstairs. Upper floor interior. So it will have a removable roof eventually. View of the back. Right, this is one of several orc burrows, still waiting to get the roof added. But this would be the entrance on one side to the burrow. View from the top. So the burrow again is a larger, more fortified structure where a handful of orcs live. So you've got some stonework, some earthworks, the roof will be up here. You've got sort of the courtyard area, some kind of little sheltered hut right over here, maybe where the orc boss for this little group of orcs might live. Or that's where they keep their loot, or who knows what they do in there. There's also a small hole that comes out of the back there, so. Okay, this is Orc Burrow number 2. So again, main entrance, the small gate, very small little courtyard area there. You have your detailed interior, so it will have the removable roof. Slightly different design. Again, more of these like earth walls. This is the beginning of Orc Burrow number 3, which also has a removable roof. 2-story design for this one. The interior there. See, some of the orcs might have to stoop a bit to get into this place. Next up we've got 3 orc huts. So one of these at least, is going to have a permanent roof. The other 2 I'm not sure if I'm going to have removable roofs or not. There's not a whole lot of space inside of these things to move figures around. But at least for now, a couple of them with the roofs off will give me access to the interiors if I want to throw in any fun details inside. Pretty basic structures, similar to the goblin huts, just larger. Holds maybe 2 to 4 orcs, perhaps. Alright, we've got a few structures that are still waiting to be built. This is going to be the orc war drums. This is the platform that's been made for it. We've got the orc forge. It's going to go there. This is the platform for the orc boar pens. And for the goblin wolf rider pen. Okay, last but not least, we've got some totems that will be made. This is the base for the large totem, the 1 base for the medium, and then 3 bases for the 3 small totems in the camp. These are scattered throughout the orcs' camp.